Page 61, Village Dance. On page 60, they're introducing the chromatic scale. I don't teach chromatic scale in my videos at all. I just use it as it's needed when it's needed. There's no real starting point and ending point of a chromatic scale. It's kind of like a circle. Where does it start? I don't know. Because the scale uses every key on the keyboard. So you can start anywhere and you can end anywhere. It doesn't matter. So I use it only as it's needed in the pieces. Generally though, what I practice in one hand, I practice in the other. It's just good habit because you're going to run across it eventually. The fingering, for the most part, is just using the 1 and 3 fingers. Then you use the 2 finger when you have to be when, well, you see it there. Just look at the examples they're giving you on 60. So go down on page 60 and look at the bottom there where they give you on 1 octave chromatic scale. They're starting on the E. That's fine. You just, as I said, you can start on any note. But the fingering, watch this fingering. It's a 1, 2. Generally, the 3rd finger is going to play the black notes. And the thumb will play the white notes, and the 2nd finger will jump in when it needs to play a white note. And that's pretty much it. Once you get that down, it's just that pattern. So both hands, and they're doing it this way because the hands can mirror each other, and it makes it a little easier. You will run across it. It is needed. I do want to warn you that this is sort of just a general fingering as a general guide. You won't use this fingering all the time. We use 4th finger sometimes. The fingering used for chromatic passage in a piece is just based on the needs of the piece. What note it starts on, what note it ends on, how long of a chromatic passage it is, blah, blah, blah. For instance, on page 61, in the 3rd line down, you're starting on an E in the right hand. And you're going up to a G. Sharp. So that fingering works out fine. In the bottom line, you're starting out with a C. They're telling you to start out with 2. And the reason is because of what came before. You're up here. In the last measure of the 4th line, you're here. You're ending with a thumb, so you're just going to cross over to the 2nd finger. That's fine. So we'll adjust the fingering as we need to for the piece we're in. And that's chromatic. Now you'll notice as it goes up, we use sharps, and as it goes down, they use flats. And that's typical of what you do. For this piece, this is a little faster piece. I want to suggest some changes in the fingering to accommodate the repeated notes so you can play around with it and see what you think. At the beginning, right hand, your 2-5. Those 3 G's in the last measure, I do a 1-2-1, so I do a 2 on the next measure. Same thing in the 3rd line. So the dotted half notes with the 2nd finger. 4th line down, 2nd measure, you're playing that whole note with a thumb. Then going on, then I recommend a 2-1, 2-3, 2-1. It's a little confusing, but it's not bad once you get it. Last line, 2nd measure, you're playing the whole note with its 2. Then I recommend a 2-1. And then last measure is a 3-2. Now, don't have to do any of that. You can play it exactly as it's written if you want, but I'm still encouraging you to experiment with these other fingerings because it will come in handy eventually. Now if you're struggling with this and you're really struggling to get these notes, then forget all this fingering I'm suggesting. Just finger it the way it's written. You've got enough to think about. But if you're getting this, I would encourage you to add this other fingering. The left hand just has the broken chords. And that's about all I have to say about this. There's just not a lot going on. As far as the dynamics go, you can do a lot with dynamics here. Look at the first line. Start out soft, and then you've got almost 2 full measures to get loud. Plan it out. Soft, a little soft. Remember, however loud you are here, the melody's got to be louder. So experiment with that. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at this. I don't want to confuse the issue, but in case you're getting this, I want to talk about another concept we use in piano, in dynamics. At the beginning, this first line, you have a crescendo. In the left hand, you're going to do it. A little louder. And finally, you're loud. However, the loud applies to the melody, the right hand, not the left. So either you got to bring the left hand down real quick from loud to medium loud or medium soft, and let the right hand take over the loud. So it's like this. And the listener won't even realize you did it. They'll just hear the crescendo in the loud. Or the other way of doing it is you crescendo up in the left hand, but you never get loud. You save that for the right hand. Like that. You should be able to do either way. In this case, you can do either one. It's up to you. The 4th line down, 5th line's about the same. You want a crescendo. It's crescendo and decrescendo. I call it a swell. A swell up and come down on the chromatics. So the starting is the softest and the ending is the softest. And the top part, the G sharp, that's the loudest. Same thing with the last line. They're very effective when you do it, and it makes all the difference in the world in the music. And the listener will be quite impressed. Wow, you're really good at this, huh? And then the last 2 measures there, it's similar. Well, on the last 2 lines, the last 2 measures will be, the dynamics is the same. You start softly, and then your accented note in the last measure of each line is where you're after. Common time, C major, more or less. Let's try this out and see. I'll play it together, slowly. No pedal. I'll give us 4 counts. Left hand, right hand. 1, 2, ready, go.